Hello and welcome to the Any Art Netty baking channel. Now today I'm going to be making a carrot cake. Now this goes well with a cream cheese frosting, and I've done a video on that. I'll put the link in the description below. There should be a little link here, but I will just fast forward that bit a bit because I've done the video already if you want to see that in depth. So I'm going to show you all the ingredients now that we're going to need for this carrot cake. I am going to make it easily adaptable for vegans and people with allergies as well, as best as I can. So we need 300 grams of light brown sugar, but I do recommend using a light muscovado sugar instead maybe. Now if you're using chicken eggs, I'd use 4 medium free range eggs. I'm using duck eggs, just in case you were curious. They were from a place called the Tuk Tuk Mart online. So I'm using 3 large duck eggs. I've got 300 millilitres of sunflower oil. So instead of a fat, usually butter, we're using oil as well to make this cake nice and moist. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, now I'm making a gluten-free cake, so this is 300 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour, and I need 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. That's gluten-free only recipe. Now I've got 3 spices here, so there's 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a pinch of ground cloves, and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. So I'll need 200 grams of grated carrots there as well. They're not grated yet, but they will be, and 120 grams of chopped walnuts, and 120 grams of either sultanas or raisins, whichever you prefer. You can soak them before you make the cake. So just to note there as well, you can use an egg replacement if you're following a vegan recipe. There's no problem with that. There's some really good brands out available. So I'm just, first of all, I'm going to pour the 300 grams of self-raising flour into there, and I'm going to sift that. Now there's a technique I'm going to use to weigh out the oil. Instead of pouring it into a jar, there's a different way you can do that, because you'll find a lot of it will still be inside the jar when you pour it in. So I shall show you how I do that, a little tip that I learnt. So I'm just going to make sure I know where the mark for 300 millilitres is on there, on that jar. Now I'd use a bowl that isn't as wide as that one, if you get what I mean. Now in that flour, what I'm going to do is make an impression into it, so it makes the shape up to 300 millilitres. And I thought about it, and I put it in a different bowl and sieved it out again. So again, make that impression there, and when you lift it out you can see where it is, because the flour will be up to there. So, you know, to keep going, just press quite firm pressure there into the flour. can see we've reached the 300 milliliter mark there, and there's the impression where you can pour the oil in. Now I'd use sunflower oil. Whatever you do, don't use olive oil. I find sunflower oil is better than vegetable oil. Now, this is only for a gluten-free recipe. I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Omit this if you're just following a normal recipe which isn't gluten-free. And I'm going to add the 3 duck eggs, or if you're using chicken eggs, 4 free-range chicken eggs. And I'm going to use them, handy tip actually, because I like me gardening. Crush them up and put them around me runner beans or plants, because it'll detract slugs from eating your plants. So that's a good way to recycle. You could put it in your compost, I guess, as well. So I'm going to grate the carrots into that mix. Now it should come to 200 grams in volume, so that's what you want the weight of, because a 200 gram carrot is, you're not going to get the whole thing into that, so you need to weigh out 200 grams of grated carrot. I wish I could grate this fast. And then again, I'm going to use them in my compost, I think, those extra bits of carrot. So I'm going to weigh out 300 grams of light muscovado, actually light brown sugar, but I do recommend light muscovado sugar. So I'm adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract into that as well. Just adds a nice flavour. I suppose you could add the zest of an orange and juice of an orange as well. Maybe lemon zest and juice if you wanted to. Now I'm going to add the 3 spices. So that's 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a pinch of ground cloves. Now I do find that teaspoon set, measuring set, really handy for two reasons. One, you feel like a prison officer holding them with the keys, and two, and the thing is, well, that is an accurate measurement. I find your normal teaspoon, which you stir your tea or your coffee with, that isn't as accurate, but this definitely. Highly recommend, if you're going to get into your baking, to get a set of them. Just a pinch of ground clove then. You don't need much, just a tiny bit, because it is quite potent. So I'm going to add I'm using sultanas, but you can use raisins if you want to. And I'm going to add 120 grams. It's basically just throwing everything into the one bowl really with this. Now, with a Victoria sponge and other cakes, I do insist on adding things at different times and stirring in different ways and whisking, because I've found that works brilliantly. But there's probably different techniques with this which people use, which you might argue with me, which is fine, we're all learning and everything. I'm not saying this is the definitive way to make a carrot cake. There might be many ways to make a carrot cake. So please just know I'm never saying this is exactly how you should do it, because I'm learning as well. So 120 grams of chopped, well actually, walnuts. I didn't chop them because I like them whole in the cake, but chop them if you wish. So, again, I wish I could go this fast. I'm just folding that mix together, because any air that is in there, we don't want it to escape, so keeping all of that in as much as we can, and just scraping around the sides and then folding in the middle. So I'm going to line my two cake tins now. I'm just fast forwarding with this at high speed. There is a video about this individually if you want to know a bit more and in depth. Please do watch that if you want to. If that interests you, the link will be in the description. There'll be a iCard just floating around the screen there somewhere. we're going to pour that batter now into the 2 cases to make 2 different layers of the cake. Now you can weigh it out if you want to. I didn't do that, but if you want to do that, that's fine with me. And we're going to bake them at 170 fan or 190 degrees Celsius for about 40 to 45 minutes. I'm just going to turn out the cooked cakes onto this now, onto the plate, ready to put the cream cheese frosting on them. Now it will vary with different people's ovens and stuff. It may be ready in 35 minutes, but as a guideline I'd say about 40 to 45 minutes until it's baked right through to the middle. So I'm just going to take off any excess there of oil because it's cooked with a sunflower oil in it. You can see that's quite greasy. So I'm just going to take off as much as that as I can, but enough that it's not going to, the cake is still going to be moist. So I do have a video on cream cheese frosting, but as this is a dairy-free, gluten-free cake, I'm using a dairy-free cream cheese. Feel free to use a normal cream cheese if you can tolerate it and you're fine with that. So that's going in. That is one I'd recommend instead because it's got a better texture to it. Much better to work with, and the thicker it is, the better it is to work with. The one I'm using is from a supermarket called Asda. It's not the best, it's quite thin, so I'm adding stork instead. It's vegan recipe, it's Vegan Society approved at this time of talking, so 150 grams of that and 150 grams of the cream cheese together. You're going to beat them together with 300 grams of icing sugar. Now what I found out about icing sugar is it can contain egg, so it's something to do with the production line. So it's more to do with if somebody's got a severe egg allergy, that warning is there. So there we go, we're going to whisk that all together until it's all incorporated. Now what I'd do is I'd add the icing sugar in 50 gram batches into the mix so it doesn't make a big cloud. Now if you're finding that that's not thick enough, I put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes and it should firm up. If it doesn't, I'd add a bit more cream cheese and it might firm up then. So as you can tell, it was a hot summer's day here when I was making this and it melted. But I'm just putting it on the cake there for the inside of the cake, and I'm going to put around the sides and on the top as well, and decorate it with some whole walnuts because I had some left over. I have got an in-depth video about cream cheese frosting, so if you'd like to see that, I've got it in the iCard there somewhere on the screen, and it'll be in the description below, depending on what kind of device you're watching this on. I know particularly the Xbox, I'm not sure what Xbox it is, but that iCard doesn't come up, so that's usually on PC or phone. So just to let you know that, I thought that was a nice little bit of information. I do like to clean as I go when I'm doing things. It just makes life easier. I'm not the best at icing cakes, but I'm hoping to get better at this, and it nearly went sliding off. Whoops. Not the best, especially when it's melting off as you're doing it. So there we go, some walnuts on the top. It was delicious. Who cares? Well, it looks like it was lovely. So I hope to see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye bye for now.